You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Welcome back. Hard to believe we spent a week out of the studio for the most part. Enjoying the holiday last week. We hope you enjoyed our best of edition of the Saturday Sports Show. Enjoying some of our guests, well, string of success. We have our archive uploaded to WMIXsports.com. We upload all of our local sports broadcasts to WMIXsports.com. This is a new live edition of the Saturday Sports Show here on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. And as always, it's cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
We have a loaded lineup for you. Of course, we'll talk with a couple of amateur golfers, Drew Navarra and Andrew Mitchell today. Of course, they will both advance to the U.S. Golf Amateur, which will be held, I believe, north of Atlanta, in the Atlanta area anyway. We'll talk more about that coming up. Of course, we'll talk with Centralia Legion Baseball with manager Todd Bauer. He might also dip into the Clinton County League as well, as he has some affiliation with the Centralia Buds organization. We'll talk with Drew's father, Len Navarra, a little bit later on in the program. Of course, he is better known to you, perhaps, as the athletic director of the Murfreesboro Red Devils athletic program. We'll talk Mount Vernon Gridiron Club with Chris Curry. They are supposed to have a car wash, at least tentatively scheduled for next Saturday. We'll talk with them about that. Talk about how you can help benefit the Mount Vernon Rams football program by being a member of the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Club, and talk about what all they do to help benefit the successes of Rams football. We'll also talk with, well, the man with the plan in terms of media with the IHSA, the Illinois High School Association. That is Assistant Executive Director Matt Troha. Matt is very good to us, and we'll talk with him about some of the goings-on in the world of the IHSA, and had intended to have him on this week to talk about the hearing on July 8th in Chicago. Well, on July 2nd, that hearing, unfortunately, was canceled.
A hearing is not a hearing if both sides can't bring witnesses.
Right.
So the hearing is not a hearing. It's we're going to do what we want to do, state of Illinois.
Pretty well a hearing by name only, and not by dictionary or legal definition in that case. So there you go. There is our lineup for the day. We'll also have a WMIX Sports social media question of the week. It is live, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. You'll find out on air after a quick break. We'll talk with Drew Navarra. He advances to the United States Golf Amateur in Atlanta. We'll talk with him about that after the break. He advanced via a second-place finish at the qualifier in Normal. More of that to come after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
More Americans are on the move today than ever before. One of the most popular modes of transportation is the motorcycle. Motorcycles take us to our jobs, school, to the beach, and all around the country. If you're a bike rider, your Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crownview in Mount Vernon, wants to make sure you have the best insurance protection while you're riding. Ask about the money-saving auto cycle discount and the experienced driver discount, too. Call Page Insurance at 242-7000 today about motorcycle insurance from Pekin Insurance.
How does a lower interest rate, lower monthly payment, and $7,500 in down payment assistance sound? Hi, this is Joy Schrader, mortgage specialist with People's National Bank. People's National Bank has proudly partnered with the Illinois Housing Development Authority to offer these great benefits to first-time homebuyers. Stop by 413 South 34th Street today for details, and let me help you unlock the door to your future.
People's National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook.
You've waited a long time.
And it's finally ready. Tyler's Buick GMC in Mount Vernon is open, and it's grand. Designed for total comfort. Expanded for a larger choice. Built for a total car and truck buying experience.
Totally
professional and highly trained service staff.
Totally flexible to your monthly or overall budget.
Since 1951, Tyler's has been a part of this community. Because of you, we're better, bigger, and newly renovated, so you can get the total Tyler's experience. Grand opening in Mount Vernon.
Totally Tyler's.
Buick GMC.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Shuko. Jeff Crow with you in studio as well as we're prepared to talk some amateur golf. Of course, the United States amateur qualifying rounds completed this past week. We know now who advances to the United States Amateur down in Atlanta. Of course, that'll be coming up a little bit later on, I believe, in August. The Highlands course, the Atlanta Athletic Club. We welcome to the program now Drew Navarra. He is one of the local qualifiers to the United States Amateur. Drew, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
First of all, it is a distinguished pleasure to be able to have you on to talk about your advancement to the United States Golf Amateur. And you finished with a 140 up at Wybring, of course, good for second place, a stroke behind Benton's Andrew Mitchell, who we'll talk to a little bit later on. Emotions had to be running pretty high at that point, knowing that you had advanced and you'll get to play on a pretty prestigious golf course in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was very fortunate to make it to Boston last year. And, my dad was caddying for me, and the whole ride home, I mean, we were just smiling from ear to ear. And, this year, he caddied for me again. I shot an identical score with a 140 this year, and, the feelings didn't change at all. I mean, we were still just really happy to see some hard work pay off. And, getting to qualify to a pretty big tournament was quite the accomplishment.
Before you teed it off the other day at the Wybring course, how many times had you seen that and or played that course before you went out and shot the awesome score that you did?
I honestly, I think if I went back and counted, I could maybe figure out a number for you. But, I mean, we started playing it. The first time I saw it was in a high school match my junior year. We played it that year. I played it the next year in a high school match, played it at state, and then I played it a few other times also. So I was pretty familiar with the course. It was a course I was pretty confident on, and it's one that had a pretty good history of playing.
Looking at the scores, and as golfers get out there, and you're playing in this thing, and you're like, okay, in the middle of your round or rounds, when does it start creeping in the back of your mind? Did it ever? Hey, if I do this and get about a 140, 139, I got a chance to go back to the amateur. Does that creep in, or do you try to keep it out of your head and focus on what's going on in the round?
Yeah, I think it's probably it might be different with different golfers, but for me, I tried to block out any kind of numbers because for me, whenever I start thinking about numbers, usually just leads to trouble. So I kind of the past 2 times playing in this tournament, I just tried to, just take it one shot at a time, and just make each shot as good as I could. And, at the end of the round, if it was good enough, then great. But if not, at least I knew, I did all I could do. You can't really control the field at all in any of these tournaments. So I just tried to, do whatever I could to shoot the score that I did.
I know some guys prefer to have family members as caddies. Some would actually rather not have the pressure or burden of having a family member. Is it a little bit easier to relax and not think about the stresses of golf having your dad as your caddy?
Yeah, I think so. Playing sports all my life, I had always, kind of, if I screwed something up, I'd always kind of look for his reaction just to be like how bad was, like how awful I did. But whenever he's caddying and stuff, at least I can just sit there and talk to him during the rounds. And for the most part, it's pretty relaxed, pretty laid back, and I really enjoyed having him caddy for me. It was pretty cool to get to share that experience with my best friend and someone who's been there for me for so many years.
So I got to ask, how much does he charge to caddy?
He was free. Free.
Okay.
I don't know what his going rate is for everybody else, but no, he was free for me.
You and Andrew Mitchell competed against each other several times, being from Benton and Murfreesboro. You're on the same team at SIU. 90 golfers show up at Bloomington. 2 guys within 40 minutes of each other advance to the U.S. Amateur. Have you guys kind of sat back this week and talked like how crazy are the odds that 2 guys from within an hour of each other are going to the Amateur from Southern Illinois?
I'm actually playing with him here in about an hour. We're actually in the same tee time at the Lake of Egypt golf tournament, so we'll probably be talking about it a little bit for the next couple hours. But no, we haven't really haven't talked to him a whole lot. Talked to him a little bit after the round. I think emotions are pretty high for both of us. Both really happy. A lot of high fives and some smiles. But no, I think that was just awesome to get to, advance out with somebody that you know so well. And Mitch is a pretty good friend of mine, and we were waiting to see Steve Stochek whenever he came in. He also qualified for the U.S. Pub Links, so that 3 Saluki golfers got advanced to USGA events, which I was really happy about. And I'm just really proud of some of my friends and teammates, and really looking forward to these championships.
You advanced to, of course, the Highlands course in Atlanta, the Atlanta Athletic Club. They've hosted a PGA in 11. Keegan Bradley won, an 01 PGA. David Toms won. And I bring up those names because I'm curious, is there anybody on tour that you've kind of watched in your days growing up and playing this game that you went, hey, you know what, my game is kind of modeled after that guy, or who do I want to look at and to mold my game after? Is there a particular golfer you've looked at over the years and said, that's the guy I want to kind of emulate?
My favorite golfer has always been Tiger. Obviously he ran into some troubles pretty recently, but I mean, I'm still a huge Tiger fan. I think if I could have the golf game of anybody, I'd choose his, because he is the best to ever play, in my opinion. He's got a very, very pretty swing. He's one of the most clutch putters I've ever watched. So if he's definitely my favorite player. And there's tons of guys on tours too that I really enjoy watching. So, but yeah, I think Tiger's definitely my favorite.
Preparation between now and then, you're playing in the Lake of Egypt, the SIGA event, the next 2 days. Between now and August, what's the preparation like? Or do you go down and play a practice round, or do you just prepare around here to try to get yourself ready for August?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm going to try to stick to what I've been doing all summer. I've been getting up early, going out and chipping and putting, and hitting balls on the range. So I'll do that around here, and then we'll leave, I think August 8th or August 9th, and we'll go down and play some practice rounds on the course. And I feel like I'm pretty confident with my game right now, and hopefully I can keep everything going whenever we get down there.
Okay, now I don't know if your dad's told you about this, but always our final question is off the beaten path. And I know your dad's kind of probably scouted you on this, but our final question's our social media question of the week. So tonight, there's a supermoon in the sky. The moon's as close as it will be to Earth as it can be, whatever. Supermoon's what they call it. So our question this week is, along with the super theme, is, who is your favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero?
Uh-huh.
That's a pretty tough question. I'm going to go with Batman, just because I've watched all the Batman movies. I lived with Steve Stochek this past year, and he made me watch all of those, like The Dark Knight and everything. So watching all those, I mean, those were some great movies, so I think they probably turned me on to Batman.
So you're getting ready for the upcoming another edition here in the next few months to a year, right? Next Batman movie?
Yeah, yep.
Uh-huh.
Pretty excited.
Nice. Drew, obviously we wish you the best of luck. It goes without saying. Congratulations on advancing again and getting to play on such a premier course down in Atlanta.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You bet. That is Drew Navarro. Of course, he advances via the Weibring qualifier up in the home course, the ISU Redbirds, and a course that he is somewhat familiar with. Andrew Mitchell of Benton advances as well. We'll talk with him later in the program. Of course, very, very good rounds for both of them. Andrew, actually both technically Andrews, but Mitchell with a 139, Drew Navarro with a 140. That's not too shabby. Obviously, that's two rounds.
Done. 70, 140 and 139 over 2 days, and you advance with your buddy and one guy from Oklahoma State out of 90 golfers. I mean, there's 150 amateurs going to Atlanta. We'll get more of this later, but in the world. This is not just a United States thing. The world tries to get in, and 2 of 150 are in our backyard. That's amazing.
Perspective speaking, it's basically the U.S. Open for the amateurs.
Yep.
On a course that's held a PGA championship a couple of times, actually 3 or 4 times. It's held a U.S. Open, I believe a Ryder Cup at one point as well. So a prestigious course is the Highlands course. It's on the RTJ Golf Trail, otherwise known as Robert Trent Jones, not Bobby Jones. This is often confused, but There you go. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk Centralia Legion baseball with manager Todd Bauer. Their district play is beginning, if not today, rather soon. So we'll talk with Todd Bauer after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Bad luck. Some people were just born with it. Hi, this is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers of Mount Vernon and Salem. We all know that someone who has that cartoon cloud hanging over their head getting rained on whenever the sun is out. The full moon is their worst enemy, and if something can be spilled, dropped, broken, tipped over, or lost, it will somehow happen to this person. Landers Collision Centers has seen it all. Whether you turned the wheel too sharply backing out of your garage and tore the front end off of your vehicle, crunched your undercarriage running over a curb, or clipped your fender pulling into the ATM, Landers Collision Centers has your back, and we certainly won't judge. As a direct repair facility for many insurance companies, we take care of just about everything, even getting you into a temporary vehicle while we restore yours. That's the Landers difference. Top to bottom, big or small, Landers fixes them all. Come see us in Mount Vernon and Salem and ask us about free detailing for the life of your vehicle. Or call 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet Cadillac of Mount Vernon.
We have a good selection of 2013 ATS, CTS, and XTSs that we have to move, and right now is a great time to purchase because you get the year-end incentives. The closeouts that we're doing on these cars is remarkable, and the savings is there. So right now we're making them very affordable, and I can't say enough about the product. It is fantastic.
Schmidt Chevrolet Cadillac of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
Your spine is a miracle of engineering, so when pain strikes, your body is telling you to get help fast. The Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois is proud to feature their spine care team. Doctors Kowalski and Smith, the professionals at Orthopedic Center, specialize in back and neck pain. So put our spine care team on the job. Find out more online at orthocenter-si.com. Stop the pain, fix the problem, and enjoy life again. The Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois.
Welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show, to the Saturday Sports Show even. How about that? Just a little bit better. AM 940, WMIXsports.com, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Indeed it is. Working to catch up with Todd Bauer, manager of the Centralia Legion team, also a distinguished member of the Centralia Buds out of the Clinton County League. Hoping to talk a little bit about both. If not, we'll try to catch up with him another time. I know he thought he might be a little busy today getting prepared for district play. Of course, Centralia, unless I am mistaken, still in District 23 of the Western Division. So, teams like New Baden, Trenton, of course, Mount Vernon, Post 141.
Blueford.
Aviston. Carlisle.
Yeah.
Unless things have changed, which that is possible.
It's possible with all the teams.
My list is as of 2010. It is 2014. So there's that. Next guest, of course, we'll have Andrew Mitchell on in just a moment. Mitch is one of those kids that I can't say it's about many, but I probably remember playing golf from an early age. His home course, of course, being the Benton Country Club. And knowing that, in fact, we've both played golf with Andrew Mitchell. I believe we went out on a foursome, did some match play, and my team with the bucket hat lost pretty convincingly.
Yeah, that was back when Mitchell was probably knee-high to a grasshopper when he was out there wanting to play, and did very well and did those kinds of things. And, he's worked at it. He's gotten better. He's had some ups. He's had some downs. He's back in the ups. And, he and Drew Navarro are going to go at it again. I mean, it's to see the tournament they're getting into and see the names of golf history that have won the amateur, and to see that 2 out of 150 in the world are within an hour of each other here in Southern Illinois, it's kind of on the same scale, same parallel, maybe not as much. With the success factor, obviously, is way different. But to think that, Drew and Andrew are so close together, one of the things I kind of think of is Jerry Sloan and Doug Collins being so close going in the basketball route through the NBA. That's the kind of, what you're looking at maybe could happen with these two if everything works out and they're able to make it and go through all that stuff.
Well, it'd definitely be a great story, especially if they could both make some hay at the Highlands course down there at the Atlanta Athletic Club. 2 courses, if I'm not mistaken, at the
there's
AAC.
There's several.
2 major,
yeah,
I believe, that have hosted major USGA or PGA events. But RTJ Golf Trail, more or less, the Robert Trent Jones courses. So, I mean, they're playing pretty pretty solid courses when they go down here for the United States Amateur. I believe that's the week, what we would call around here Balloon Fest week of the 11th through the 17th of August.
Yeah. Well, it's right after the actual PGA Championship happens over at Valhalla. And then the next week is the U.S. Amateur. They have it back-to-back, bang. And this course, has had a couple three PGA Championships here held. It's had a U.S. Open in '76. Jerry Pate won. That's a famous one. David Toms stole one in '01. With the PGA. I mean, it's a very difficult course, and of course, for these two to be able to play, of course, Drew played last year in Boston and now plays here at this course along with Andrew. This is some pretty rarefied air to get to play on golf courses like this.
Well, it definitely is, and of course, Andrew Mitchell, a kid who now is playing golf at Southern Illinois University after having had some prep success at Benton, played a short time actually for Murray State at the collegiate level, then transferred back to SIU, and now, of course, as you heard in the interview with Drew Navarra, is on the same team as a former River to River Ohio foe. So interesting. I believe Andrew's first round was a 1-under.
Yeah.
And then a 2-under on day 2. So to have a great day on day 1 and to go back out and have a better day
it's tough.
On day 2, that is certainly easier said than done. Because the crazy thing about the United States Amateur is that you have to have a handicap of 2.4, I believe it is, or less. And I mean that... you think of the average hacker going out there on the course, handicap probably 30 or even into the 40 range for somebody such as that. To get it to a 2.4, obviously a professional type elite handicap is certainly phenomenal, and that is just a minimum requirement in order to be eligible to even participate. So, I mean, we're talking very, very, very good golfers.
Then you qualify in this, you get through at 90 golfers in Bloomington. Then you got to go down. You got to play golf, your own ball, for so long to get through to match play. Then in match play, you're playing, play, and then in the end, you got to play 36 holes. A lot of golf to get to the top, and the names are names that we hear about all the time in golf that have won this thing. And to get to participate in it is just an amazing honor. And for two guys that had to have this opportunity, it's crazy right around that they are in Southern Illinois and going to get to go both do this in August.
And obviously wish them both the best of luck. We'll talk with Andrew Mitchell of Benton here on the Saturday Sports Show after a quick break. It's cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
Hi, Roy Schmidt, Ford Lincoln dealer at Ford Square, Mount Vernon. Summer is here, hot weather, swimming pools, the lake, baseball games, and it's vacation time. Stop in and talk to one of our friendly, no-pressure salespeople for your next new Ford or Lincoln vehicle. With 0% financing available, a large inventory of new cars and trucks, $0 down, and great rebates makes summertime the time to buy. And we're always in need of nice one-owner trade-ins. Great staff, outstanding selection, money-saving rebates creates an excellent time to buy now. Thank you for your past business, and come by and see us at Ford Square for your next great deal at 1501 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois, where the best never rests.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo, here with you until 10 o'clock. You can give us a follow on the Twitterverse at WMIX Sports. Find our social media question on our Facebook wall at facebook.com/WMIX Sports. Our next guest I don't believe I've seen since I was on the ugly side of a four-man match play. Actually,
yeah,
you know what I mean, a foursome-in match play. DC and this particular guest, Andrew Mitchell, happened to spank Chris Kays and I. Of course, I was the guy that got picked probably last, being the worst of the four, obviously. But nonetheless, we welcome to the program Andrew Mitchell. Mitch, good morning.
Good morning.
Do you remember that at all? That's been a long time, but do you remember any of that golf match we played today, that one day at Benton?
I remember a little bit. I think Kays kind of used his knowledge of me being able to play a little bit against you.
That's scary that you're around that much knowledge and Chris Kays. But I got to ask you this. You go up to Bloomington, and first I'll ask you what I asked Drew a while ago. How many times have you seen the Weibring course before you go out and shoot what you did last week to qualify for the amateur?
I've probably played it, I'd say probably 4 or 5 times maybe.
Not bad. So you had a good reason of the course then.
I played it, yeah, not too bad. I knew it pretty well. I played it once or twice in high school, and then I played it at John A. last year. We had a tournament there.
So you go up here, and there's 90 golfers, and you get in this thing, and you win. And you look around, and your teammate also qualifies. And Drew, he mentioned this. Is it kind of ironic or kind of unique? You're looking around like 2 of the 3 guys that advance out of Bloomington are in your, but one of the guys is in your backyard. Have you thought about that at all this week?
I have. It's pretty awesome that we both play against each other in high school too, and then now we're on the same college golf team, and then we both do this. We both qualify for the USAM. It's just a pretty awesome feeling.
When you look at moving on, and you've got a tournament today, you're down there, you're going to be in the same group as Drew in the Lake of Egypt tournament the next 2 days. Is there a sense that now every time you go out and Drew go out, everybody else around you is going to kind of be gunning for you because you're the guy who's getting a little ink this week? Have you thought about that target on your back?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm sure some people think about it, but I don't know if it's. I'm sure a little bit. Yeah. Just now that we've done that, it's kind of a big thing to qualify for. So I'm sure that people are gunning for us a little bit.
You go out. You have a 1 under par 70 on day 1. Then on day number 2, did you feel a little bit more relaxed knowing you'd played so well the first day, or did you feel a little bit of added pressure before you went out and shot a 2 under par 69?
I felt good. I didn't really feel any pressure because there was a couple 68s and there was a 67, and then Drew had shot 69, so I was in 5th anyway. And I knew that they only took 3 spots, so I wasn't too nervous. But I knew that I needed to play good that second 18, and if I didn't, I wasn't going to. And I shot that 69, and truthfully, with that field, when I was walking off the 18th green in my second round, I legitimately thought that there was a chance that I wasn't going to make it out with 3 under.
Because that's what I was going to ask next is, you're sitting there and you threw the number up. I mean, how agonizing was the wait after you threw that number up to sit and kind of wait through the whole thing and wait to know that you actually made it?
Well, luckily I wasn't too far from the last groups or the last couple groups, but I did have to wait on a couple guys to get in, and that wasn't too fun. When I got in, I was tied for first, so that was nice. But then there were still probably 4 or 5 groups out, and I think probably 3 or 4 of those guys had a chance to knock me out of it. So that part wasn't too fun, but it was nice being tied for first when I got done.
Golf is a game of up and downs. Every golfer goes through it. I have. Anybody's played this game goes through it. When you're sitting there and you're out in the course and you're playing, do you focus, you get in that zone to play and concentrate what's going on? Do you get and think about, hey, if I shoot this number, I need 2-3 birdies out or a couple pars and I got a good number score? Or you just stay in the moment and don't worry about what everything else could happen once it's over?
It's a little bit of both. You definitely have to take golf one shot at a time, as you know. But at the same time, you have to be aware of what's going on around you, too. But I found for me personally that it never really works out if I wake up or if I get out on the golf course and I say to myself, okay, I need to shoot this number today. It never really works like that because then you just put extra pressure on yourself to go out there and play good, and then you try to do stupid things, and then those things don't work out, and then you shoot a high number.
When
I play, I try to just take it shot by shot.
In your career, have you found a golfer, a pro golfer, PGA guy that you have tried to emulate your game after, your swing, how you handle things? Is there a golfer that you've watched all these years?
No, not really. I don't think so. I really like Stricker's demeanor. I like how he carries himself. Very quiet. But I don't really try to copy anybody or do anything anybody does.
Will you get to play the Highlands at all for any practice rounds prior to actually going down for the event, or will you have to rely on SIGA events or things of that ilk to prepare for the amateur?
We'll get to play practice round. You'll play two. We play two courses. There's two courses out there, and you'll play one the first day, and then you'll play the other one the second day. So you'll play two practice rounds before the tournament starts on each of the courses, and then on that Monday and Tuesday, you'll play one course, and then on the Tuesday, you'll play the other one.
It's not a bad trip. I know I've looked at the scorecard. Everybody's watched the PGA down there, everything. The one hole that stands out to me, par 3, 260 yards, water to the right. We don't have things like that around here, do we?
No, there's no that. Not to my knowledge, anyway. There's a couple par 4s like that, but there's no par 3s like that.
Hey, off topic completely. A couple weeks ago, Mr. Kays and I, a couple others, had a chance to go to Memphis and play TPC Southwind. How close were you to guessing his final score?
I think I said mid-80s, so I think he shot 88, didn't he?
Yeah.
I was pretty close.
I knew there was a putter that was taken down there that I don't think got the same respect when he left with that putter. Let me just tell you, okay?
He said he struggled on those greens a little bit.
Well, you know what? I could struggle on those all day if I could play that course all the time. You know what I'm saying?
That's an awesome course.
We know you got a busy day. You're playing today at Lake of Egypt. You're actually in the same pairing as Drew, so that'll be very cool to play with your teammate and everything going on. But I'm sure Mr. Kays has told you there's going to be this final question. It's our social media question of the week. And this week's question is, there's a super moon in the sky tonight, the closest the moon can be to the Earth or whatever. So our question this week revolves around the word super, and it is, who is your favorite superhero?
Oh, man. I'm probably going to have to go with Iron Man.
Oh.
Nice.
Nice. See, I saw how crazy would it have been, because Drew picked Batman. If you'd have said Robin,
I have a feeling that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, so that wasn't going to happen. Iron Man's still very good.
Man, you should have told me that. I would have said Robin just to see what you guys would think.
Well, when you walk over to the putting green, you guys get together and say, "Hey, why don't you tell me you're going to pick Batman?" Or told me, then I could give that answer.
Well, that would make Kays Alfred.
Definitely.
Mitch, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and I know things are busy for you getting ready to play an event down there at Lake of Egypt, but thank you again for taking the time out, and best of luck to you when you go down to Highlands in August.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate having me.
You bet. That's Andrew Mitchell, and I remember a time when playing the same course day after day more than a few summers ago now. One, he didn't sound like that whenever we played him in that foursome.
No.
But two, would be chipping onto the putting green, putting at the putting green, and spend entire days out there. And obviously that hard work and dedication is why he is where he is now. So it's good to see that success.
The amount of work that people have to put in these days, the amount of competition in golf, and these guys have been doing it forever, probably since big enough they could swing a club. And you don't hear, like Drew said, he goes out and chips and putts a whole bunch every morning. You don't hear. It's one thing to go to the driving range, and a lot of amateurs have this problem. They'll grab the driver first thing, try to kill the ball 50 times. If you're going to make any money and you're going to do any good, you got to get the short game going. If you don't have the short game, I don't care how far you can hit that ball, you got to have the short game to add it up. That's you can hit it 340 down the middle, but if you can't get it on the green or get close to the pin, you've wasted a drive. All you'll get is the compliment where I played nice drive. Good luck with the third shot.
You might win a few dozen golf balls and some scrambles.
Right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you won a long drive, yeah.
Have fun with that. And I've seen guys that consistently win closest to the pin that can't finish on the green. So, you have to have that. And it's just amazing to see how some of these, especially younger golfers, have that ability to read greens from having played so much and dedicated themselves to it. Plenty more to come on Saturday Sports Show. We'll give you our answers to the WMIX social media question, talk some other facets of local sports after a quick break here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Jeremy Pearson with a look at your next rad weather. We'll see a blend of clouds and sunshine throughout today. It will be hot and humid with a thunderstorm during the afternoon, high 91. Expect patchy clouds tonight, low 72. It will be partly sunny and hot tomorrow. Watch out for severe thunderstorms in the afternoon, high 90. And Monday, expect a blend of clouds and sunshine with a shower or thunderstorm in spots, high 86. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
They don't need fancy sales gimmicks or billboards at Second Chance Auto in Mount Vernon because it's their reputation for honesty and fairness that make friends tell friends about them. What other buy here, pay here dealership in the area offers you bank rate financing? Second Chance does. You can save up to thousands on the total cost of your vehicle. Not sure if you qualify? That's easy. A 2-minute call to 244-4582 will get you started. Or stop by Second Chance Auto, Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. You won't be disappointed.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
AM 940, WMIXSports.com, the Saturday Sports Show here until 10 o'clock today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. Find archived broadcasts. Of course, as you heard, our website is WMIXSports.com. You can find all sorts of local broadcasts archived on there, as well as video highlights from prior broadcasts. Oh, yeah, social media question of the week, favorite superhero.
Yeah, I figured out what the 28th one was.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that one.
Good call.
Yeah, I just remembered that.
What's your who, what, which?
I don't know. I haven't really given a thought yet.
See, I was never one of those kids that liked comic books or anything like that, nor did I really care.
I didn't. I watched cartoons.
Yeah.
I mean, I was more of a Speed Racer guy, but is that a superhero?
No. I don't like Speed Racer, so he could be. But I'm just telling you.
I mean, the usual suspects are on the list, but I'm more. I don't know. I mean, I watch cartoons. I was more a big Bugs Bunny guy. I didn't really watch the superhero stuff.
Exactly. I like Seabert the Seal, Chili Willy the Penguin, random
Woody
eclectic
Woodpecker
stuff.
and Chili Willy, though that's a highly underrated cartoon back in the day. Heckle and Jekyll, that's great stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I liked how Chili Willy took the plunger and made a telephone out of the ice.
That's what got me. Yeah. Chili Willy was quite the master at that.
I think my superhero, and it's only because I was probably the one person in the United States of America that liked this movie, Daredevil. And I have no idea why.
I didn't know there was one.
I for some reason, even though Affleck wasn't the greatest of superheroes, which oddly enough he's getting another chance. He
went straight from filming in Cape Girardeau to Batman. Go figure.
I actually enjoyed the movie, and I enjoyed the character of Matt Murdock, otherwise known as Daredevil.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took Speed Racer. I don't know. That's the one I had to watch all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Just not being well, unless because I don't count. Do you count the X-Men as superheroes?
I never got into that.
I did the movies.
Yeah,
but not the. But again, not the comic.
Remember G-Force?
No,
that was before your time.
Probably.
They were on from 78 to 85. That was a classic.
Yeah, I wasn't watching cartoons in 85. I'm sure they were on in the background, but I was not cognizant of cartoons in 1985. I was cognizant in 86 though, so I just missed that. So Jim, things like that, because my sister watched Jim a lot. Yeah. Anyhow, I digress. But yeah, Daredevil. If you counted X-Men, Wolverine obviously would be my guy. But we'll go with the Daredevil for now, just because I committed to it already, and we're going to stick with it. However, exciting times coming up here on the Saturday Sports Show. Not only are we just a few weeks removed from our high school football previews coming up in the month of August, but next week is our annual Commissioner for a Day show, and what that entails is basically us coming up with solutions to some of the renowned problems in the world of high school or local sports.
Commissioner for a Day is going to be interesting.
Sure. Basically, it means if we were commissioner or we were executive director or we were manager or whatever, or the exalted ruler of high school sports, how we would fix various problems. And, I missed last year's program, but I am looking very, very forward to this.
This year, if our special guest will show, could be interesting because he's already texted, are we going to do this, that, who we get a list out for it,
Oh, he's probably going to demand
so
an executive producer title.
He's writing stuff down left and right, and there's things I've written down to go over.
Does he have any demands? Like, do I need to have, like, specific colored M&Ms and ice-cold glass bottles of soda?
Not that I know of, not yet.
Because all I can offer is coffee because I don't care about anything else.
It'll be interesting because we're not doing this to say everything they do is wrong.
No.
We just want to do it to have some fun because we're getting ready to roll back in that time of year. We're getting ready to go back. What would you do if you were in charge? What things would you change? And I'm telling you right now, I saw something on Twitter last night about the upcoming bids for the boys and girls basketball tournaments. I think girls is safely tucked away at Bloomington Normal. I don't think anybody's going to make a run at that. If I'm somebody watching a bid from Champaign, they can't get the Assembly Hall, State Farm Center, whatever it's called these days, that can't get in the tournament. If they can't get that ready for regular season Illini games, you're going to let state tournament go there?
Exactly.
The aura of
they had maybe 2 new hotels since then.
Yeah, if we have
One's
it
really
here,
nice.
Okay. Champaign Peoria is going to battle, and Hoffman Estates Chicago is going to come in the back door. Champaign will want 3A, 4A because that's where they think their basketball players are going to come from Illinois and play for the Illini. 1A and 2A could be there, or I think 1A, 2A stays in Peoria and 3A, 4A goes to Chicago. That's my guess.
I wouldn't have an issue with that. I would not have an issue with that whatsoever.
Nope.
Because, worst case scenario,
my early money
there's only like one way we're going to 3A, 4A.
Early money is 3A, 4A is either in Chicago or Champaign.
Sure.
And 1A, 2A is in Peoria. That's where my bet's at.
And I don't know that Peoria would have a problem losing 3A, 4A and keeping 1A, 2A.
I saw some arguments, some discussion last night that said, and we can get more into this later, I guess, but, all the attendance was dropping because of student bodies not showing up. No, that's not it. Attendance was dropping because attendance dropped at Champaign. That's why they moved it to Peoria.
Well,
now attendance is dropping not because of student bodies not showing up. It's because gas prices went up, everything went up in 08, 09 because your teams of Woodlawn Central and whatever that made multiple trips, their crowds got smaller. You can't afford it.
Yeah, and it's easy to understand whenever your team, you go anyway and your team's not up there and you get the bill and you know it's on you. It's like, holy cow.
Yep.
Do we really do this every year?
I can't buy the argument that, we'll get, like I said, I can't buy the argument that attendance is down because student bodies didn't go or because of what's going on. I don't care where they put it, the attendance is going to be down. Could be in Southern Illinois, Northern Illinois, Central Illinois. Attendance will be down because people aren't going. The economy,
I think the elephant in the room, which is the move they made prior to the 07-08 season, is part of it, but not to the degree that the critics want to make it.
Right.
For some casual fans, I think that the expansion has hurt. But all in all, no. I think when that came in, something else happened along with it with the economy.
Yes.
And so there are some families and some casual fans that have not recovered from that. And with room rates, from having talked to people who've been going since the beginning, having escalated by as many as 100 times not 100 times, 10, 15, 20 times what they were.
Well,
that gets expensive.
You look at, here in this particular city, gas is $3.68 on average. If you go 15, 20 minutes to the south, gas is $3.46.
Right.
Gas, hotel, and food are not cheap in Peoria during those 3 days. And I just think that this bidding process for basketball is going to be interesting on the boys' side. I just think either Champaign gets them all, they're going to only want 3A, 4A because in their minds, the dream of, oh my gosh, if I'm a good high school basketball player, I'm going to Illinois. No, there are schools that have come in and raided Illinois and got talent they wanted.
No doubt.
That dream's over.
No doubt about that. More of that to come next week. We'll have special lineup, special panel, all of the above on the Saturday Sports Show. We want to stick with us the next few weeks. as we take you through the rest of summer and into high school football and the fall sports. Taking us into Murfreesboro Red Devils athletics will be the athletic director, Lynn Navarra, after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Registration for fall classes at Rend Lake College is going on now. With more than 100 degree and certificate programs, RLC can put you on the fast track to a new career or to continue your education. More affordable than four-year universities and private schools, you can save thousands of dollars at RLC. Our trained academic counselors will make sure you're on the right path, whether you plan to transfer to a four-year university or head straight into the workforce. Registration by appointment continues through August 1st. Call us at 437-5321 or find us online at rlc.edu. Rend Lake College, your journey starts here.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers Broadcasting Station.
Waited a long time.
And it's finally ready. Tyler's Buick GMC in Mount Vernon is open and it's grand. Designed for total comfort. Expanded for a larger choice. Built for a total car and truck buying experience.
Totally professional and highly trained service staff.
Totally flexible to your monthly or overall budget.
Since 1951, Tyler's has been a part of this community. Because of you, we're better, bigger, and newly renovated, so you can get the total Tyler's experience. Grand opening in Mount Vernon.
Totally Tyler's. Buick GMC.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to personal banking. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo. Jeff Crow is with us as well until 10 o'clock here on your Saturday. Our next guest is the athletic director for the Murfreesboro Red Devils. He is Lynn Navarra. Lynn, good morning.
Good morning, Chris and Danny. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's always a pleasure, but let's rewind back a few weeks. The IHSA releases the 2014-15 enrollments, and alas, we see the Murfreesboro Red Devils and Lady Devils basketball teams, I believe, emerge into 3A. And as an athletic director who is always well prepared, and I'm sure having all of your schedules set for basketball for quite some time, how big of a nightmare does that become now having the extra week off?
That certainly does pose a challenge. We've got a game plan, and as a school that has kind of teetered on the previous structure with the AAA, now the 2 and 3A, got a couple ideas on how to handle that, and fortunately have some teams in the area that are conference schools that also have been bumped up to 3A, so it does pose a challenge, but it's one that we don't have any control over, and our staff continues to look at it as a positive and as a challenge, and we certainly work hard going forward to try to put our best foot forward.
How many sports were actually affected by bumping up a class besides boy basketball, or was that the only one?
To be perfectly honest, as you know, I've had a pretty busy summer and haven't been in the office as much as normal, chasing around Drew's offering just a little bit this summer, and to my knowledge, it's just the basketball, both boys and girls basketball. Of course, our volleyball was 3A last year, and so that's not much of a change for us.
When you sit there and again, the lateness of it that's done, I know you being with the other athletic directors, especially in a river-to-river conference that have bumped up and down classes in sports, is there an idea in the future maybe of a proposal to kind of adjust the timing on that? Because it seems like June is way too late for athletic directors to adjust schedules at that point for the upcoming year.
Yeah, that's a good point, but I don't know what the answer is. If you go too early, that affects, not because they go with the enrollments from the previous years anyway, and it's a tough call by the IHSA, and I know Matt's going to be on your show later on today, and they did just an outstanding job of. I really like the way they do it now because the classification seems to be fair. In the past, the IHSA have done a wonderful job of determining where that line should be, but set themselves up to be targets for people that wanted to criticize. And the way they're doing it now is fair across the board, and no complaints. Shouldn't have complaints from anybody.
The landscape of sports in Southern Illinois, especially high school, is ever changing. Teams switching conferences and this and stuff going on, and these teams want to go here allegedly and all this. And the river to river seems to stay pretty constant. I mean, it seems to me there's a pretty good bond between schools in the river to river, one side to the other, that kind of keeps it as intact as it is. Is that something that you see when you work with the other schools as well?
There's no question about that. I grew up in Murfreesboro, graduated in 1984, and at that time we were the University of Murfreesboro. We participated in the Southwest Egyptian Conference. I went away for several years to teach and coach in other communities, other conferences, and had the good fortune to come home. And the river to river had already been established by that time, and I was fortunate to work with some outstanding athletic directors and icons in Southern Illinois sports, like Jay Thompson from Harrisburg, Don Hawkins from Nashville, Dick Korn from Pinckneyville, Jim Woodward. The guidance that these guys have laid and the understanding of our current athletic directors is about as solid of a family as a group could have, especially when you're all competing against each other. But Mike Mooneyham, myself, Richard Glodich, Richie Williams, and Arthur Windhorse, and sorry for leaving anybody out, but it's about as close-knit of a group as you could imagine.
Looking on from here, and we know you're busy doing AD, you mentioned this summer you've been chasing around the golf ball. Are you on the bag today, or are you the on-course reporter at Lake of Egypt today?
Today I get the day off. In the Southern Illinois Golf Association, they allow the golfers to use carts. So I'll still be there and living and dying on every stroke and every shot, but fortunately don't have the bag on my back today.
Yeah, well, we were told that you do not get paid for your caddying services. Do you need a new agent, or is that the deal right now at this stage in the game?
No, he's pretty sharp, and he knows that he shouldn't pay me because I don't know a thing about golf. I can't help him. I can't read greens. I can't help him with the swing. The thing that makes it work for us is obviously emotionally know him like the back of my hand and can read his every move. And occasionally I hope I'm good for a stroke or two here or there to kind of help put things in perspective from time to time. But it's nothing I grew up with. The sport was foreign to me, but obviously it's been a complete blessing that we're all enjoying at this point.
Back to the conference thing, and with age, with when you get to our, you grow older, you kind of take things in more perspective. You being in the River to River Conference, not only to see one guy get out and get to the U.S. Amateur, but two guys. I mean, have you sat back and thought about this week just the odds of against that, or the odds of that happening? How tremendous that is for those two to get in like that, the U.S. Amateur.
Absolutely, and we, like I said, I was fortunate to come back and to be part of the River to River, and for the most part, I think it's the best small class conference in the state of Illinois. And without going into detail, I mean, there's literally a state champion that comes out of our conference every single year, whether it's individual or multiple teams. And just to throw another caveat out there, not only did Andrew Mitchell and Drew advance, but Jacob Eklund from Carterville, another River to River boy who's actually still in high school, he was tied for the final alternate on Monday's qualifier, and we stuck around and watched the playoff, and eventually Jacob lost on about the fifth hole. But there's another River to River kid that was up there making noise for us as well.
Looking at the River to River, getting back away from golf, I want to ask this too. You have some teams. I know football, I think, is the biggest sport that has the most issues. Is there a way to kind of work around football to try to help some of your schools, like a Harrisburg, a Heron, a Massac, try to help them to find games somewhere along the line, especially in football? Because it seems like that's the sport that has the most trouble scheduling-wise.
Yeah, and that was kind of the design. From my understanding, one of the reasons for the development of the River to River, quite frankly, is Murfreesboro was one of the larger schools at the time in the Southwest Egyptian. And I joked earlier that we used to be called the University of Murfreesboro. I was in school. There was about 1,200 kids in school in 1984, and now today there's about half of that. And that was one of the reasons why the conference was formed. There basically was kind of a smaller school division to Mississippi, and then Murfreesboro moved into the larger schools at the time, which was basically most of the South 7 schools that were some of the smaller schools in that conference. And I think the gentleman's understanding was we would never mandate or force a smaller school to play a bigger school. Quite frankly, the smallest Mississippi playing the largest Ohio school doesn't really do either program any good, especially if you're fighting numbers and you've got injuries in your program that is struggling with numbers. But with that said, we certainly have an unspoken, unwritten rule that we're going to do everything we can to try to help out somebody if they're looking for a game, and for the most part, been pretty successful there. But it is a very tough line to walk between mandatory and a gentleman's agreement.
No doubt about that. Lynn, our final question is the infamous WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week, and with the celestial goings-on with the supermoon in the sky tonight, we want to know, who is your favorite superhero?
Well, I'm well prepared for this answer, and I guess you want me to say Robin. However, I'm going to give you a corny answer and say my mortal heroes. I've got two wonderful kids, Emily and Drew, both, that are all that a parent could ask for. In terms of the superheroes, I guess I have to go with the ultimate guy, Mr. Red, White, and Blue, and go with Superman. He's supposed to be the ultimate superhero.
There we go. Much better than Robin.
Yeah.
That I was thinking that Gary McCord was going to get thrown out, but,
Yeah, they haven't teed off yet, so I can't really talk too much. They're getting ready to tee off there. We've got a slight breeze blowing from left to right, and we expect a big day for these guys.
All right, well, we know who we can count on in the future. If we do live golf, we're going to get you. You're on our list now with that performance.
Now, with Drew's success and the involvement and introduction into that sport in our family, you won't have to push very hard. It's just become an extension of our lifestyle. And real quick, I know you guys know this, but even before Drew started playing, when I was athletic director, following Jesse Barge and some of the Murfreesboro golfers, I realized that all the participants, the sport itself demands kids to be good sports. You can't throw temper tantrums out here. Most of the time, when you call a penalty, you call it on yourself. It's a gentleman's game. And not too many other sports do you find complimenting your competition when they have success. And I think all the golfers know how hard it is, and they truly appreciate the effort that's given by all. And if I could ever go over, I know my football days in high school didn't do my knees any good at this point in my life. I'd like to go back, and I'd probably be a golfer if I could.
Certainly. Len, as always, we appreciate you for taking the time out to join us today. I know today just happens to be a busy one, but always great to catch up with you, and we can't wait to talk to you again.
Always available, and you guys do a great job for Southern Illinois sports, and we listen to you all the time, and if you ever need anything, please give me a call.
We will definitely take advantage of that, good sir. Thank you again.
Great. Have a good day.
You too. Len Navarro is one of the good guys in the athletic director business, and we deal with a lot of good ones. And social media is a big thing now, and he does such a great job with that. And is always helps us get our message out, so we always try to return that favor, and just glad to have his perspective of some of the goings-on in the world of local sports. Commissioner for a Day coming next week. Chris Curry coming up next. Of course, we'll talk to the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Club and all things going on with Mount Vernon Rams football. Potentially a fundraiser next week. We'll talk about that next here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back on WMIX after these.
This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Wilt. I want to thank Mount Vernon and the surrounding area for continuing to support us over the past 5 years. If you have never sat down with someone to go over your insurance program, let me invite you into our office. Let us show you what working with the industry leader, represented by a local agent, can do for you. I'm located just off 42nd Street. You can reach our office 24 hours a day at 242-1421 or on the web at tonywilt.com. Thanks again, and go Rams.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, AM 940, WMIXsports.com, and it's cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo. Jeff Crow in studio with us as well, again until 10 o'clock. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. We're on Facebook as well, where you can find our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. We welcome Chris Curry. He is the president of the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Club. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
First of all, my first question after our phone conversation earlier in the week is it going to be a good morning next Saturday for the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Club and that car wash fundraiser?
I hope so. We got a car wash going on at the old Burger King in front of Kmart next Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Along with the car wash during lunch, we're going to sell steak sandwiches as well, ribeye steak sandwiches.
How much will the car wash be? Like, is it free with a donation, or is there an actual?
Well, there's a minimum price of $5 for the car wash, but we would accept any donation for the car wash as well.
Nice. And I heard I am always hooked with ribeye steak sandwiches. How much are those going to run?
Those are going to run $7.
Not bad.
It's $7 for a sandwich, chips, and a water. So I think that's a pretty good deal.
That's a great deal. That's a nice little combo meal with the sandwich, the chips, the waters. Just $7, $5 to get the car washed. So really, you can get your car wash, have it looking sparkly and almost brand new, and enjoy a little bit of a meal while you're waiting, just for $12. That's not a bad combo at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And so these proceeds obviously will go to benefit the Mount Vernon Rams football program. And the Gridiron Club does so much for this high school football team. And I've read the list off of MTVRams.com countless times, but just for the sake of our listenership, what all does the Gridiron Club do for Mount Vernon Rams football?
Well, to start off, our biggest thing is that through our fundraisers, we raise money for the football program. We give out scholarships to four-year football players that meet criteria of having the correct GPA and plays 4 years of football. And then we put on a very nice banquet at the end of the year. That's all paid through the Gridiron. The other thing that we do is we give the wish list items to the coach. For instance, we just bought a brand new lineman chute for the linemen to work on this past year, so that should be being used this year.
When does the lather start building for the season? Is it year-round, or especially right now before the season practice starts, is that when it usually starts stirring up?
We meet once a month throughout the entire year. Besides, we don't meet in November or December. We always meet the fourth Monday, so we're getting close to Thanksgiving in November, and then December obviously is Christmas. But we don't meet those 2 months, so we meet 10 out of the 12 months. Everything really starts to pick up, I'd say somewhere around May or so is when everything really, you just start to get everything in order for the upcoming year.
Of course, you guys have an important meeting coming up in the next couple of weeks with the parents meeting, if I recall the timeline correctly. Is that right?
There is a parent meeting coming up for the high school. I don't recall the exact date on that. But there's an important meeting for Coach Shaner for parents and players. It is a mandatory meeting with Coach Shaner.
I gotcha. And, of course, you guys meet the fourth Monday of every month that you just said, with the exceptions of November and December due to the holidays. And, I think about some of the long trips that the Mount Vernon Rams football team has had over the years, and, of course, dating back to the previous regime and having to go to the likes of Geneseo and things of that nature. If the Rams ever have to do that, I've always known the Gridiron Club to step up and help take care of their needs, especially then, whether it be a charter bus or whether it be meals on game day. The Gridiron Club really helps out these kids, and definitely a worthwhile cause to support for anybody who wants to support Mount Vernon Rams football.
Yes, last year we had the trip up to Rochester, and we provided them with meals up in Rochester before we came back home. And there was another game as well. I can't remember which one it was, but a couple of them we made them sandwiches and gave them something to eat on the way to the game. I believe it was before the Cahokia game and before the playoff game in Mattoon.
And, of course, obviously a big fundraiser coming up next Saturday. You said at the old Burger King in front of Kmart, actually just across catty corner from the WMIX studios. Refresh our memory on the times for that car wash.
Yes, it's going to go from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We will be serving sandwiches probably somewhere between around 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And we just hope to see everybody come out and get their car washed. We hope to wash a few cars that day.
Well, speaking of something good going on, we have our final question for you, which is our social media question of the week. And with the supermoon tonight here in Southern Illinois, we're going to ask you, based on the word super, who is your favorite superhero?
I would have to say Superman.
There we go. You pretty well are the Superman when it comes in terms to Mount Vernon Rams football, being the president of the Gridiron Club, are you not?
I do what I can.
Chris, we always appreciate the time and appreciate the effort that your organization goes to help support the football team we all know and love, and that's the Mount Vernon Rams. Thank you again for joining us today, and I plan to see you next week.
That sounds wonderful. And by the way, the mandatory parent meeting for high school football is going to be Monday, July 14th at 6 o'clock in the auditorium at the high school.
Perfect. We'll get that word out. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, and you guys have a great day.
You too. That's Chris Curry, president of the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Club, and this is a club I've seen through many evolutions as they continue to get better and stronger for the Mount Vernon Rams football team. And, I think back to some of the things that they've done for the program over the years, and including, the end zone camera that they purchased and basically helping make the play clocks happen at J.D. Shields Memorial Stadium, and it's a good thing. You heard some of the lineman equipment this year, so definitely a worthwhile cause. MTVRams.com is their website, and glad to be able to help them. Their car wash next week, you heard, right in front of Kmart at the old Burger King, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., $5 donation. I'm sure they'll do a spectacular job, make it look almost brand new. Steak sandwiches available from 11 to 2 and for $7, and they'll accept any donations. That is next Saturday. We'll remind you then here on the Saturday Sports Show. We'll talk with Matt Troha after a quick break. He is the assistant executive director of the Illinois High School Association. He actually handles media and is technically the sports information director for the Illinois High School Association. We'll talk with Matt after a quick break here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Jeremy Pearson with a look at your next rad weather. We'll see a blend of clouds and sunshine throughout today. It will be hot and humid with a thunderstorm during the afternoon, high 91. Expect patchy clouds tonight, low 72. It will be partly sunny and hot tomorrow. Watch out for severe thunderstorms in the afternoon, high 90. And Monday, expect a blend of clouds and sunshine with a shower or thunderstorm in spots, high 86. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
The Medicine Shop in Mount Vernon provides personal health care on a level that no big box chain or mail order service can. That's why Consumer Reports ranked independent drugstores like the Medicine Shop #1 in customer service and satisfaction. I'm pharmacist and owner Eric Black. Did you know that independent pharmacies like the Medicine Shop receive no kickbacks from drug manufacturers? This means that the advice you get from our staff is based only on what's best for your health. Did you also know that we offer access to your medication when you need it? No long waits or hoping that the mailman shows up with your medicine before you run out. We employ local people and pay local taxes, which means a positive economic impact to this community. Finally, we know how busy your life is. That's why we offer free delivery to work or home. Give me a call today and I'll show you how easy it is to switch. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon. Or give us a call at 242-8776.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. Sometimes that's a tongue fool.
Did you forget where you were at?
I do that from time to time.
Okay, happens.
Wasn't here last week. We had the best of.
Well,
so
yeah.
Got to get that little rust out of the way. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski. Jeff Crow is in studio with us as well until 10 a.m., courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
WMIXSports.com. There we go. Whoops. I might just be nervous for our next guest. He is the Assistant Executive Director for the Illinois High School Association. He is Matt Troha. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, guys. You have me confused. I'm not sure where I'm at now.
I tend to do that to people, but be that as it may, a little less confusion now going on with the IHSA since the legislature was kind enough to cancel the July 8th hearing scheduled for Chicago.
Well, I would say a little less for, right now. Who knows kind of what the next step's going to be. But, we're just going about our business, and if they tell us to have another hearing, we'll be there.
Well, and it's one of those things where I know from the perspective of the broadcasters and knowing the history with the Illinois Press Association, I think there had to be a little bit of shock and awe, to borrow a term from way back, whenever Representative Lavia comes out with this desire, this resolution to look into the operations of the IHSA, and then out of nowhere, I think kind of expected maybe the print association to get involved. I know I was surprised when the broadcasters got behind it as well, but this situation just seems to be breeding more and more confusion.
Well, I agree with you, and I think that's because the reasoning behind the hearing has never really been answered, and the answers have sort of changed. First it was about Scholastic Bowl, and, but then you had the Press Association writing a resolution for her, so I think that created confusion, and then, obviously the folks from both the associations were there to testify that day, and, so people were kind of, well, how does that tie into financials and things like that, and, it has been. It's been kind of a strange and confusing process, and I don't know that we know the real motive yet behind these, and maybe we never will. I don't know.
How hard is it to prepare and plan for the first hearing? The rules change, then they set up another date. It seems to me the rules are changing out about as much as an elementary playground game right now, that you guys can't get what rules you're supposed to play under.
Well, yeah, and to be honest with you, we didn't have much expectation. We didn't get much given to us before that May 20th. It was held on May 20th. I think we found out on the 15th or 16th. So we were scrambling. They'd asked for a couple documents, and we tried to give them a bunch more. So we did. It was a good learning process, and we felt a little bit more comfortable going into the July 8th one. Although, to be honest, we didn't have any direction for that one too. We figured, okay, they've asked 3 hours of questions of our executive director, and so they must be ready to hear from some of the school people. And then obviously we sent out a press release because we were shocked when we found out that we wouldn't be able to call anyone. It was like, what are we going to do for 2 hours again? Is it just going to be the same thing again? So yeah, that part was a little frustrating, but we'll just, as our executive director said during the first one, he said, we have a good story to tell, and we'll come tell it. So, if they tell us to, we're glad to show up and do that.
And obviously, I think it's maybe just a case of misconception and knowing some of the financial woes that the state of Illinois is in. It seems like the thought process is there that the IHSA, even as a nonprofit agency, rakes in money hand over fist, and with sponsorships, granted, the association does pretty well, but there's so many sports that don't add revenue to the association. They have to be covered by some of those finances. Is it just a case maybe, and I know this may not be a question you can necessarily answer, I'm not trying to set you up or catch you off guard, but is it just a case where maybe the legislature sees a cash cow in the IHSA?
You know what? That question has come up several times, and I really don't think that's the case, simply because, people keep hearing the number, 11 million in revenue and a $12 million budget. But in my 7 years here, the money that's left after all the bills are paid and all the, the events are put on, we've made anywhere from maybe $2,000 to $50,000 to maybe $200,000. And, when you look at what it costs to educate a state, I mean, that's nothing at the end of the day. I mean, you're not going to be able to solve any problems with $200,000. So I really can't think that is. And they have to know that, even if they're looking at $11 million in revenue, I mean, it costs, you have to put a staff in place to run these events and do all these things. So I don't think you're ever going to find some situation where you're able to, cut your costs in half and be making $5-6 million off that. I don't think that's realistic.
I look at it, in this case, that people need to, if things are going fine, things are going fine. And the IHSA does a great job. So, I mean, it seems to me maybe somebody was pulling strings, pushing buttons on people to try to see what they could get. But I thought everybody in your office where you work did a very good job and have done a very good job of handling this. I don't know, want to say circus, but more just a running through the hoops of having to work with what you guys had to deal with in the last few months.
Well, I appreciate that, and I kind of agree with your first point there. I think maybe they got some misinformation, and they really thought that they were going to, take us to task and expose some, some wrongdoings financially or whatever it might be. And, I think we pretty much, all our financial stuff's out there, and I know a lot of people have combed through it since this became a story, and, there's nobody finding any red flags or anything like that. So, yeah, that's, like I said, we're just going to keep doing what we do, and if they want us to do more, we'll be there.
So do you more so feel now, after some of the media tours and things like that you work for Elmer's Glue after beating a dead horse so much? I mean, do you feel like it's...
That's a good call. That's a good call, yeah. I mean, it gets a little frustrating. It's that this sort of continues to linger. And kind of going back to your previous question, I don't know I answered in full, is that I think because, people get so passionate about high school sports and people get mad about, this particular ruling or that ruling or this rule or that rule. And so, there's, in a general sense, there is always negativity out there about the IHSA, about I don't like this rule, I can't believe they ruled this kid ineligible. And I really think that they thought that when they came out here that people were going to rally against us. And, I think it's sort of been the opposite, that people... When they step back and kind of look at the big picture, they kind of said what you said. These people do a pretty good job. These are good events. I mean, the people who've experienced a lot of the state final events, we put on some of the better ones in the country, and especially some of the larger sports, our wrestling, our track and field. We have some really good events and things like our leadership conferences, and we think we offer some really good opportunities. So I think a lot of people, as they step back, said, well, I still don't like that rule or that ruling, but overall, these folks do an okay job.
Okay, let's get to something else here. For our listeners, tell our listeners what Matt Troha's job exists of during his time at IHSA. What do you do during the year?
Well, yeah, I do a lot of media relations, communications. So first off, I'm writing just about anything that appears on our website. We've launched a separate page. If you ever have a chance to go to IHSA.org, there's a green sign like you'd see when you go into a city that would say, IHSA State Baseball Champs 92, or, whatever it is. And if you click on that, I've been doing some original content on there for about a year, just trying to find good stories and sort of fun things, just things that make high school unique. So I deal with that a lot. But when we get into, once we start running our state championships in each, fall, winter, spring, we go nonstop. There's one every weekend, and as many as 4 to 5 some weekends. So I'm dealing with the media requests for that, setting up all the media things, credentials, and those kind of things. I'm on site at many of our events to work those and to work with our media folks. And, what we always say is we just wear a lot of hats. We all do. There's 10 administrators. We have 800 schools, 400,000 student athletes, 40,000 coaches. So that's just a lot of phone calls and a lot of, projects and things that come up. And a lot of that kind of rolls downhill to me. So I'm glad to take on whatever I can.
Well, I know with the media contacts, obviously you do a great job with that, because I've never, ever felt like I've had to wait a ridiculous amount of time to get an email reply or anything like that. And I know I sent a lot of emails up to Bloomington. So obviously hats off to the great job that you do. And as far as taking care of the media, that in itself seems like it could be a full-time job.
Well, and for many years, Jim Flynn was my predecessor, and he's been retired now about 9 years. And when he stepped down, they sort of went away from having a full-time person, in kind of a media background. I had written for some newspapers out of school and did some sports information stuff for some conferences and colleges. And so, that was a need that when they had a staff opening, that they kind of saw. I think they realized that they wanted to get somebody back in that position. And I think it's worked out well. I feel like I've made a good connection with a lot of our media around the state and enjoy working with, folks like you.
Well, and talking more about the association and just in general what they do, it just seems incredible to me that there are so many state finals and then always trying to, I don't want to say one up the other states, but just having more opportunities for kids to earn a state trophy, especially, sports like bass fishing. But there's so many other sports that really don't get a lot of publicity just because not a lot of people know about them.
You're absolutely right. And, one of the neat things is that those communities are they support those sports so much. If you ever go to our bowling state finals, it's packed. People bring step ladders and they bring periscopes and they fill the place. And, for those kids, as we always say, for those kids, that is their football state championship. They're most magic. That's their big event of the year. And they come out and they support it and they love it just like a basketball player, loves the opportunity to play at Carver Arena. So, it's the same, even though it's not as high profile. It really is the same. And, in the passion they have and what they put into it. So, we try and, that's why we want every event to be special and we want it to be big. And you're right, there is, a lot of us are athletes, coaches, so there's a competitive nature to all of us, and we want to have the best event. We want people to say, that the Illinois, softball championships are way better than Iowa or Wisconsin. So, that exists, that competitive nature still.
When you look at one thing, you're speaking of baseball, softball, and this year weather had a very big role, at least in the 1A, 2A stuff in baseball and softball. One of the things I wanted to ask is there a possibility in the future that something is done so you don't have teams coming up there getting to play one game and then having to go home because it rains out? Is that on the table maybe in the future?
Well, we had a bad situation 2 years ago where our 1A championship, it ended. The team that was losing, I think they were down 2 or 3 and had the bases loaded with no outs. The rains came. We were in a complete game situation, and they essentially lost the state championship. They would have had at least a chance, to make it closer, and they didn't get that. And so, our softball advisory committee, and I think that's one of the other misconceptions. I think is that the people in our office that we just make the rules and have the ability to do that, and that's not the case. You have several levels that proposals go through before they're voted on. But ultimately, the softball committee made a proposal like that where it said all the games at state would be finished, even if it meant going through to Sunday or Monday. But we have a group of athletic directors then that review that, and they were unanimously against that. And really because they felt like it's something that can't be applied across the board. So, for example, if the golf state tournament gets rained out, which happened a few years ago, the Saturday got rained out. It's simply not really possible to get 5 more courses another week later, and because they didn't think that you could apply that across all sports, they felt like there had to be some point of finality. So, for the time being, right now, it doesn't look like there's much support for that. But I think it's one of the good things about our process is that the people change. There's always, you're on a committee usually for 3 years. There's always carryover. There's always new people, new ideas. So you never say never, but right now there isn't support for that.
I like how you mentioned that. There's always people and new ideas. It's not a 4 or 5 member panel that sits in Bloomington. You guys vote and not vote against things or for things. The membership of the schools is very important into this process. They're the ones that kind of help you guys set precedents for things, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, yeah. And in every committee we have geographic representation. We cut the state up into 7 pieces. So, and every each of those 7 pieces has to have a member on a committee, so that you're getting, you're hearing from the folks up north, you're hearing from the folks down south and in central Illinois. That's an important part of what we do. We feel like, so yeah, we do depend on our membership. And as I tell people who think that we make the rules, it's like nobody would want that job if you had that ability, because you would just endlessly hear calls and criticism and change this and change that. Yeah, nobody would want that job if you actually had that much power.
I want to shift something else. Everybody sees you, reads about you, IHSA, this, that, and other 24/7. We're in summer. I know there's always things going on at the main office up there. What does Matt Troha like to do to get away and relax from the IHSA scene before this another school year kicks up?
I have 3 young kids. My boys are 5 and a half, and the other one is actually turning 4 today. We're going to a birthday party for him here shortly, and then I have a little girl who's 2, and I just spend every second that I can with them because they're growing up too quick already. But I love sports. I'm a big Cubs, Bulls, Bears, Hawks fan. And, I love Chicago teams like college sports. So I'm usually with my kids or doing something with sports.
Do you think our Cubs are close?
Oh,
We're getting turned the corner, aren't we?
Oh, my.
Don't you feel like maybe 2 years from now?
Yep.
That's the way I feel. But I feel like I've been saying that for 31 years. So.
Well, I know, but Theo's got us pretty close right now. I think we're going to turn a corner eventually. It's coming.
So do I. I feel like there's a lot of good pieces in place. I agree.
Now Hugo's looking at us like, why? Where did we just go?
I've grown up down here, and I know I don't root for any teams that are actually in state, but be that as it may. Quick question. I know, obviously, taking the topic away for a moment away from the IHSA and what you do, but one thing I've been wondering probably for about the past few years is as we see conferences in turmoil due to football, is that something that maybe having to do something and stepping in there, is that something that might be on the IHSA radar with all these conference situations? Because basically,
I tell you, it comes up numerous times every year. We talk about it. We've had, in our legislative process, we've had football playoff proposals, I think multiple, for at least 3, 4, 5 years, and that always comes up. There are people who strongly feel like that would help. It would be a huge help if we came in and did something. And there are other people who are just strongly adverse to it. That there's too much tradition. There's too much, just too much of precedent of having them run the conferences the way they have. I think this fall we're going to see a proposal again to move to districts for football, which a lot of people think would solve some of those problems. I think it would be a situation where, having not seen the proposal, I think it's going to come from the Sycamore area. I'm not sure if it would be an everybody in situation or not, or how exactly it would work. But yeah, I think there's more people who are looking towards, if you put everybody in the playoffs, or if you have the IHSA do the football schedules, that it would end all of the conference moving around.
It's changing to another sport. How big will the process be for bidding on the state basketball tournaments coming up? How big do you think that process will get?
Well, there's been a lot of excitement, a lot of communities it sounds like, are going to put in bids. I mean, I think we're going to have several bids for boys and probably a handful for girls as well. And, we'll do what we always do, and go, take the site tours and review the bids that they submit. And, but we'll try and really just kind of treat it like any other bid that we go through.
Our final question for you, as you probably know or have heard of, we kind of like to go off the beaten path with our final question. And we have a big super moon in the sky tonight. That's closest to the Earth. It's going to be big and bright if it clears up for everybody. So our question this week is, along with the word super, Who is your favorite superhero?
Ooh, my kids are way into superheroes right now, and they keep jumping around now. I am a Wolverine guy.
Nice.
I like Wolverine.
So that means
What
X-Men
was your
do
guys'
count.
choices?
So the X-Men count as superheroes then, because we were debating that earlier.
Well, there's no debate there.
I didn't think so, but I know some have argued from time to time because really Superman, Batman started in comic books, so I like the Wolverine choice.
Okay, I think Batman would be my number 2.
Yeah.
If you're not letting me use Wolverine,
Oh, no, I'm going to let
back.
you use... No, I say that because I debated it earlier because Wolverine was going to be my choice, but I settled on Daredevil because I was like the one person in America who liked that movie back in 2003.
Gotcha. My kids would go with Captain America and probably the Hulk.
That's what I said. Captain America is probably up there. Batman, Superman. But, yeah, I would consider X-Men superheroes. Yeah. I mean, they're doing things not human. Are we correct here?
Well, that's true.
Right.
Yeah. The very definition. But, Matt, we appreciate the time.
Superheroes are huge in my house right now, so that's a very timely question.
I can imagine. Obviously, we thank you for taking the time to join us. It's always a lot of fun when we can get together and hash some things out, but we appreciate you for talking with us this morning.
All right, thanks for having me on, guys.
You bet. See you in a few weeks.
All right, take it easy.
That is Matt Troha. He is an assistant executive director with the Illinois High School Association. Handles a lot of the media things. I think just came off of handling softball.
Yeah.
I don't think that's on his plate any longer, although does a great job with the media. Certainly takes care of us.
We have no issues.
Not at all.
Just shot him an email. See if I can get something back. I can't find something on the website. I'm going to see if it's me or if it's not there. So I'll see how fast it comes back.
Probably pretty quickly if he's on the iPad.
Yeah.
So there you go. We need to take a break on the Saturday Sports Show. When we come back, we'll have plenty more talk coming up. We're here until 10 o'clock in the studios of AM 940. Online at WMIXsports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. We're back after these.
Registration for fall classes at Rend Lake College is going on now. With more than 100 degree and certificate programs, RLC can put you on the fast track to a new career or to continue your education. More affordable than four-year universities and private schools, you can save thousands of dollars at RLC. Our trained academic counselors will make sure you're on the right path, whether you plan to transfer to a four-year university or head straight into the workforce. Registration by appointment continues through August 1st. Call us at 437-5321 or find us online at rlc.edu. Rend Lake College, your journey starts here.
Bad luck. Some people were just born with it. Hi, this is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers of Mount Vernon and Salem. We all know that someone who has that cartoon cloud hanging over their head getting rained on whenever the sun is out. The full moon is their worst enemy, and if something can be spilled, dropped, broken, tipped over, or lost, it will somehow happen to this person. Landers Collision Centers has seen it all. Whether you turned the wheel too sharply backing out of your garage and tore the front end off of your vehicle, crunched your undercarriage running over a curb, or clipped your fender pulling into the ATM, Landers Collision Centers has your back, and we certainly won't judge. As a direct repair facility for many insurance companies, we take care of just about everything, even getting you into a temporary vehicle while we restore yours. That's the Landers difference. Top to bottom, big or small, Landers fixes them all. Come see us in Mount Vernon and Salem and ask us about free detailing for the life of your vehicle. Or call 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. It's cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Blessed to have had the lineup we had today. We thank Drew Navarra, Andrew Mitchell, Lynn Navarra, Chris Curry, and Matt Troha of the IHSA for joining us. And basically, it's going to be a busy couple of weeks before we get back into talking of two high school football coaches. Coming up with our football previews beginning of August. August 2nd is when we will start those. We'll start probably with the Black Diamond. We'll also talk river to river. We'll talk some odds and ends and getting into the South 7 before the high school football season gets here on Friday, August the 29th. Your home for every down of Mount Vernon Rams football is WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Taylorville Tornadoes on Friday, August the 29th, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff right here on AM 940. Video at WMIXsports.com. Before we get there, though, still a couple of sports shows to be had with a little bit of conjecture and talk. And next week is our annual Commissioner for a Day program where we basically figure out what's wrong and we give you some solutions, and we'll take some solutions, of course, on social media, and we'll try to fix everything. We'll have a couple of guests and some panelists and things of that nature as we talk just about it, a little bit about everything. Like what is basically, I guess you could say, sound off on the world of local sports.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people. I think it's interesting that Mr. Trollhall brought up football is going to get changed around. That there's going to, well, not going to change around, but there will be a resolution presented as half of Broadway taken up by somebody drives by in a. That's a big one.
That is.
That's a nice one.
Well, it looks familiar.
That's what I wondered.
It's not.
But
no, I know where that one is.
Back to football. I think there's going to be something has to be changed. We talked about that. I've said that for years. You have the state basketball tournaments that, are going to be bid on and announced in March of 15 where they're going to be for the next 5 years. There's some discussion as why the state football championships every other year is in DeKalb. You have golf, which is played in the middle of the state in October, which make people wonder, like, why would you move it up there when it's warmer down here? Could you rotate it? Talked to somebody last night, has ideas on that. You have baseball, softball. Why can't they play games on Sunday if there's weather on Saturday? There's all kinds of things that it'd be interesting to see when we line up the show and guests next week who or what we have on and who or what topics they're into, as far as what they would like to see change. And anybody with any like or following of the IHSA always will have something to talk about. And I think that's the cool part is we're not saying next week, oh, this is the way it's going to be. We don't like this. We don't like that. We don't like this. We just want to have a discussion where if you were commissioner, we don't say executive director, we say commissioner because we're doing our little thing. What would you change or what would you not change? I mean, there's things that a lot of people like. I like what the IHSA does. So, sectional basketball complexes is already it's always been discussed. Postseason hosting sites. Now, that was an idea 2-3 years ago by a friend of ours, and now it's in play. So, there's a lot of things to discuss, and looking forward to see who we have on the next week, maybe 2 weeks, to discuss what's happening.
Exactly, and it'll be a case where we'll welcome your thoughts on social media, whether it be Facebook or Twitter. So don't think we're just going to tell you how it's going to be. You can tell us how you want it to be as well. Looking to make it interactive as we'll take your Facebook postings and Twitter and social media. So engage with us as we try to engage you next week on some of these topics, and hopefully we have solutions that'll come into play and actually be suitable for maybe the IHSA to look at or some other organizations to look at, different governing bodies. And, talking about Troha and talking about football, and he talked about maybe districts coming into play or at least a discussion of it. And that's part of why I asked that question is having heard that could be a discussion that comes back into play this fall. And there's, we're starting to see, we get the copies of the different proposals that different administrators from around the state come up with, and football has been a hot topic where the number of proposals are increasing. And every year now there's been at least a couple revolving around districts. Some include every team getting into the postseason, some include an Indiana type set, some include a Kentucky type format. That might be a little stronger than going the route of Indiana, where you might have 2 9-0 teams meeting up in the first round. That I do not agree with, but we'll see what happens. Kentucky, I think that's one thing that they do well.
Football, I don't think every team should get in. I don't want to see somebody get drilled 0-9. I don't think you should have 9-0 teams opening up against each other. I think they're first off have to be games. I mean, I'm sorry, Marion has to travel to Champaign twice, then to Springfield to find people. Harrisburg's going to drop Marion next year, week 3. They got to find people. I mean, you're running in, as we said before, too big or too good means you're not going to get too many games to schedule in football. You've got to have something done. The Black Diamond is waiting a year to get Edwards County. They got to have the forfeit Flyers on their schedule, except for 2 teams this year. There are a lot of things that I think football is the next thing that has to be solved, because it's a sport that numbers, I think, would unless you have a very successful program, are declining. I think people and parents are kind of hesitant about having kids play football, and you're going to have something where you can have games. I mean, to be real honest, the varsity side of things is the only thing that really matters. I mean, who cares if you have freshman schedule and you have to play somebody twice, or sophomore schedule? I know that's important. Like the Black Diamonds got to travel across all of Southern Illinois. If they can find 8 games, 9 games near their place and play some of the Diamond schools, that way Chester and Edwards County don't have to play each other lower level, who cares? That's another thing that can be fixed. conferences can fix other non-revenue sports and the way they set up conference meets and matches and tournaments, ways around things to fix. But I think football's the next thing that's got to be fixed because of scheduling. And it's not just in Southern Illinois. This happens all around the other parts of the state of schools not being able to find games. And with school budgets being cut, transportation budgets being cut, schools going away from providing buses to a lot of sporting events now at junior and high school level, something's got to be done football-wise.
Well, and I understand the desire to award underclass conference championships, but not every sport does that, though. Like, there's not necessarily a JV conference championship in some sports, although back in the day it was big to win like a freshman football conference title. And there's cases where, and granted in the South 7, it's a case where all of the teams typically will field a freshman team, or, well, for the most part. But some of your non-conference teams, you don't have the luxury of playing them. I can think of countless times that Mount Vernon Week 9 would play a Highland in underclass football because of the travel distance. Yep. So, I mean, more teams, more programs are going to have to be accepting of things like that.
Who cares what your record is in freshman football? Just get 7, 8, 9 games.
Get the
Who
development.
cares? Get the development going. If you have to play a team twice, play a team twice. Who cares? I mean, there's other things. I mean, there's like sites, football. I know people are going to have basketball thoughts about going back to 2 class. That's not happening. People are going to have thoughts about who hosts what and where. I mean, there's a lot of different things to discuss. Maybe golf could be split. Maybe Cog Hill in Chicago would host golf. I mean, my gosh, wouldn't that be someplace to go? You could have it down here at Kokopelli and Wren Lake. I mean, switch them things around. It'd be a lot better to play golf in 50-degree weather and calm winds a lot of times in Southern Illinois in October than 35 and 25 miles an hour out of the northwest.
35 windy or 40 and rainy. And
Yes.
that's a cold October, November rain up there.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. We can take a quick break here on Saturday Sports Show, help take care of that. When we come back, we'll talk more about some of the things that are forthcoming in the world of local sports here on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Welcome back, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. It's cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. That is a Saturday sports show, and of course at Crossroads Community Hospital, it's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
You bet it is. So we're talking about our Commissioner for a Day program coming up next week. We hope you'll tune in and access that and participate in the discussion on Facebook and Twitter. Social media questions still live. We don't take it down. It's always going to be there. Supermoon tonight, if you can see it.
It was crazy last night. And it's not even.
Yeah.
And there's one next month, maybe the next month too.
I'll tell you right now, I went somewhere to eat, and it required driving on Thursday night, and things were just getting just ridiculous, like weird. Like the crazies were out. Not in a bad way.
Not in a good way.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
Okay.
But one of those where driving back, it's like, and not even paying attention to the sky, it's like there's got to be a full moon around the corner, and that's when I realized, hey, there's a super moon tonight. And it definitely makes sense. But so who is your favorite superhero? Obviously, X-Men do count. I was silly for not even thinking that was a possibility, but I would definitely pick Wolverine over Daredevil. Woof. No offense to Matt Murdock or Ben Affleck. So there you go. There's a social media question. Find it on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter at WMIX Sports. And There's a lot going. Believe it or not, for it being summertime, there is a lot going on right now. Getting ready to go into a dead period here before long, in terms of the IHSA. So, some do their own self-imposed dead period for a little bit longer than what the IHSA mandates, and they burn up their contact days early and often in the summer and let kids have a break. And that's what I think I like is the coaches and the programs and the schools and districts, so on and so forth, who will let the kids have a little bit of time off, even in addition to the dead period, to help them have a little bit of a summer.
It's one of my things for next week. I think there should be 2 dead periods in the summer. I think the week of July 4th, wherever that number falls, that entire week on the calendar should be no gym, no team, no nothing. You want to work out on your own, you want to go play on your own, go do it. Nothing involving team should happen the week of July 4th. And I think the week that happens or so from July 31st to the first day of football practice or fall sports, that should also be a dead period. Got to let kids be kids.
Yeah,
a lot of things going on. I think those would be 2 great periods around a holiday, and at the end, right before school starts, it'd be 2 great times to have nothing going on.
Well, like we've said, it doesn't. Obviously, if a kid wants to go play in a summer travel sport, that's their prerogative. But I do think that the school system. But at the same time, I do understand the flip side of that. Will you lose some kids more to these travel and club and things like that if the high school option's not there? But if they want to do that, they're going to do it regardless, whether it is at the expense of the high school program or not. But we have a lot of these topics to talk about next week with some panelists and some guests, and we'll run down basically a lot of the problems that coaches, programs, and things like that are experiencing. I've reached out to some coaches who may or may not be on the program next week and get their thoughts and talk a little bit about some of that. And there's some coaches with some concerns and things of that nature. So it'll be interesting when we all get
with
together.
So many things for kids to get into and do and whatnot, there are a lot of other things to do. And, I think in our lifetime you will see a considerable change in football. I think people are slowly getting away from that. They're not as, it's not a numbered sport of participation as it once was. I think you're going to see other kids play other things or going to get burnt out and not want to do anything by the time to get this point. So a lot of things have to be done. A lot of things have to be changed to support participation, not only in your major revenue sports, but non-revenue sports as well, and scheduling and helping each other out. It's got to be one of those things.
Well, and it's interesting that we hiccups at a bad time. My apologies. Reading around and doing my usual reading of various websites and things like that, I forget where it was, but I remember seeing a column where the thought was that soccer will eventually replace football due to all of the discussion of how dangerous football is. But I've talked to a couple of athletic trainers, certified athletic trainers, ATCs, what have you, that actually believe that soccer at times can be just as dangerous as American football.
You know what's dangerous?
Biting?
Flopping. You can almost get more hurt flopping than you can actually getting hit.
Yeah, on the hard ground, at least in wrestling, when you fall backwards, there's at least a spring there. To absorb some of the blow.
I'm like you. Soccer's good, but you can still get concussions, run into each other, this, that, and other.
No, don't get me wrong. There's obviously anything's dangerous.
They're there. He showed me a different way to go find that.
Okay, good.
Thing.
iPad or web?
Bang, fired it back. Yeah. Let me look here. Mr. Trollhoff fired that back. iPhone. Football's dangerous, but at least there's padding. Soccer's wide open. I mean, you're taught more to flop than do anything else. I mean, I've not watched the World Cup in any way, shape, or form, made an effort to, unless I've been somewhere where it's been on. And to me, it's flopping and biting. That's what I see. I mean, if you get run in by the referee, you fall down like you've been shot. It's a dangerous thing. Now, a lot of people, baseball's big again. People are starting to get back into that. Golf. I mean, people are starting to get into other non-contact sports, and participation's key. You got to get people out. You got to have schools where coaches and athletic directors work together to share athletes. I don't care what size of school you have. Obviously, if you have a school of 3,000 to 4,000 like Chicago, you don't have the numbers in Southern Illinois to be, one kid should play one sport and that's it and that's all I want. You have to share athletes. And the schools that do that the best, like Nashville, Benton, Harrisburg, that share sports, share athletes, get the most out of their athletes because they share and understand, they work with each other. Those are schools that really need it. And, those schools that are successful share athletes. I think that's important. I think that's where, as we get into topics maybe next week, how people can work together, because participation in sports are going to, I think, change from football, soccer to other non-contact sports because people are worried about what the results of injuries are impacted to people later on down the line.
Exactly. I mean, things like these are always going to be hot topics, and we're not trying to say that one sport is more dangerous than another to discourage or anything like that. But I do think that some sports get a bad rap over others, and that's unfortunately just the way it seems to be.
Yep.
So plenty more of that talk to come over the next few weeks before we take you into high school football. Hard to believe it's almost here. I mean, it is all official practices with pads, things like that are almost here, and it's just hard to believe that is the case.
It's here. I mean, once we get through the next 2 weeks, we got 6 weeks until football. 7 weeks from today, I believe, we talk scores.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. 21 weeks from today, we talk state championship in football. Think of that. 21 weeks from today, we're 1 week into high school boys basketball.
Yeah.
20 weeks with girls basketball. I mean, it like I said, the anticipation to get the football builds. All of a sudden, football's done. Oop, knock that one over. Then you get into basketball and it's Christmas. It's like, hey, the season's half over. You get in the spring. Oh, my gosh, where'd the spring go?
Yeah.
We're in that anticipation time, and everybody's starting to get a little itchy about football coming up. That's for certain.
I look forward to that. It's the stuff for me that comes a week and then 2 weeks before that to get me a little ready for football, though. And soccer
here,
and cross-country and
you get
tennis.
2 Ram opponents this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Taylorville, Charleston.
The Apollo.
Get to jump in the – hey, there's an idea. The Apollo and the South 7 playing each other. Oh, geez. Hey, there you go. The Mississippi Valley, hello. Maybe you three could trade off, play each other. That'd be a great schedule set up, wouldn't it?
Sure, they could figure it out. I don't know. I don't want the task.
There's a lot of problems right there because some schools go, I ain't playing you. You're too big. How many kids do you have in your school? 800. How many kids do you have in your school? 1,100. Who cares?
Well, here's the thing that gets me, and I think it's just absolutely stunningly hilarious at times. Just the sheer fact that some of these schools have lesser kids but may have actually more numbers in their football program. And then the argument that, well, you have more athletes to choose from. Well, from which to choose. That's not always the case.
Right.
I mean, just because there's more kids does not equate more athletes.
That's what I said. Just because you have 1,200 kids in your school doesn't mean every boy's playing football.
You mean 800 enrollment school might have 60 Jimmys, Johnnies, Toms, Dicks, and Harrys on their team, whereas 1,200 may only have 60 in their program.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of, you're only an athlete if you participate. If you're not an athlete, you can't just be an athlete on paper. You know what I mean?
All very interesting topics as we go in the next week because
I've thought of more for next week.
Well, yeah, there's things you'll go through when I walk the golf course that pop in your head, and I'm writing them down, typing on my iPhone to save them. But looking forward to the next week. We'll get a guest list together, and it may spill over. We may have 2 weeks of it. Who knows how this thing might go?
Never know until it happens, and we're looking forward to it. Hope you are as well. That'll be next week here on the Saturday Sports Show after the 8 o'clock news until 10 o'clock, maybe a little over, depending upon what happens, but it'll be next week here on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. We hope you enjoyed today's lineup. Not too often you can talk to 2 different kids about going to the same national honor. That is the United States Golf Amateur. Congratulations, Drew Navarra and Andrew Mitchell. Glad to have them on this morning. Lynn Navarra, proud papa of Drew Navarra, but also the athletic director at Murfreesboro. Thank him for joining us. Chris Curry of the Rams Gridiron Club. Hope you support their car wash, 8 to 2 next week. Burger King, the old Burger King, no longer in existence, BK, in front of Kmart. Well, the building's still there, just the brand inside no longer. Matt Troja as well. Thank him. Our archive will be up before you know it at WMIXsports.com. This is WMIX Mount Vernon. NBC News is now.